Hello everybody, my name is Logan Knife and welcome to Damn Late Reviews, a series in which I review older titles. Today we'll be looking at the sequel to the game that redefines stealth action. This is Pandora Tomorrow. After the success of the first game, Ubisoft enlisted the help of Ubisoft Shanghai to create the second game, as the Montreal team was making what would later become Chaos Theory. Shanghai being the most obvious choice, as they were the ones that did the PlayStation 2 port of the first game, and they sought out not to reinvent Splinter Cell, but to polish it up a bit by fixing the issues that players and reviewers had about the first game. But did they succeed? Well, we just have to look for ourselves. The gameplay and graphics hasn't changed much from the first game, which isn't a bad thing at all, since I did really enjoy the first game's gameplay, and here it's just more of a good thing. Shooting still feels weird, however, but at least there isn't as many forced combat encounters as there were in the first game. There still are some, but we'll get to that when we get to it. One improvement is the implementation of a laser pointer for the 5.7 pistol. When you turn it on, it shows you where you're gonna shoot. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I didn't really use it that much. Only times I can recall using it was only to shoot out lights, and that's about it. The two main things that they added were the half-split jump and the SWAT turn. The half-split jump is a modified version of the, normal split jump from the first game, but this one allows you to get up to higher points, typically used to scale to the second floor of a building, or to take a secondary path, which they have added in this game. The SWAT turn, however, is a bit more useful. It gives you invisibility frames, basically, making this the most important addition to the game, making sections that would otherwise be a goddamn nightmare to sneak through, such as the window bit and lobby bit of Mission 1, the multiple sections of Mission 4, and the terminals of the final mission. It makes them end up being really easy. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I don't play Splinter Cell for the challenge. I play it for the fucking fantasy of being a ninja with fucking green night vision goggles. One look at my channel art will tell you that. They also added a blinking effect in your light meter when you're carrying a body to indicate if it's safe to hide a body there, which is a really good quality of life improvement. Another thing they changed is the detection system. It still plays by the 3 strikes and you're out rule. However, now if you slow down a bit and hide in a corner, the alert stages will eventually go down, meaning if you have 2 out of your 3 alerts used up, you can hide for a bit and you can reset them all the way back to 0. They also change it to when you do set off an alert, the enemies will become, tougher. After one alert, they put on flak jackets. After the second one, they will then start to put on helmets, and of course, if you get up to the third one, which you have to be trying at this point to be going for the third one, that means mission over. Okay, but enough of the gameplay changes and whatnot. Let's get on to the story. The first mission starts us off on a dock and has us sneaking through a village leading up to the embassy grounds, sneaking past a handful of guards, some mines, before leading to the side of the embassy, where the gloves come off a bit. After climbing to the second floor, you come within pissing distance of the Temu Che Guevara, Sahadi Sedono. But Lambert stops you from just going in and popping him right now for fear of the hostages dying, so we have to let him pass. After this, we find and save Douglas Shetland, an old friend of Fisher's. He goes and hands us a data stick written in gibberish, so now we have to find a translator, and it just so happens that there is a translator on the grounds that we have to go and see. But she's an Ital being overlooked by a guy in night vision goggles. So we have to do the exact opposite of what we've been taught from the beginning.
You're telling me to stay in the light?
I said you wouldn't like it.
A really fun idea. I just wish it would happen a lot more often and more systems like this were used in these games. But after we take up all the spotlight, we meet up with the translator Ingrid, who helps point us in the right direction. With the information Ingrid translated for us, the second mission has us going to a cryogenics lab to track down a guy called Mortified Penguin. But by the time we get there, it's already filled with French and Syrian mercenaries. This mission reminds me a lot of the second Langley mission from the first game. Hell, it even has you defuse a bomb halfway through the mission. It turns out the mercenaries hired by Penguin are after ND-133 boxes, which were holding frozen brains. Yeah, this mission's really fucking weird. The mission ends with us finding a security guard who was able to snap a picture of the Penguin, and it turns out it was a CIA agent named Norman Soth. After finding this out, the game gives us a choice. Yeah, a choice. We can either let the mercenaries blow up the door, obviously killing the guy inside, or we can dispose of the mercenaries outside the door. This is obviously Shanghai testing out what would later become the core of Double Agent, but here, it really doesn't work much since it has no lasting effects. All that happens is if you kill the guy, fucking Lambert gets on your ass and tells you need a psych evaluation. Which, fair enough.
I'm putting you up for psych evaluation the next time you're stateside.
The third mission still has us in France, but this time on a train looking for Norman Soth. This mission is kinda short, but it's probably the second most famous mission in the entire series. We have to climb under and on the side of the train, which is just really cool. I know you could probably just flick off the cabin lights and walk down, but this is more fun. After our fun hanging off the side of the train, we need to find Soth. Using our thermal goggles makes this easy as hell. His prosthetic leg betrays him. After talking to him for a bit, we shadow him and use our laser mic to spy on his car. Turns out, he's not one of the good guys anymore. And after we get this, we have to book it back to the Osprey. All in all, a really fun mission. Really short, but really fun. The fourth mission takes us to Jerusalem to track down a hideout where some Syrian terrorists are making a modified version of the smallpox virus. And these will be housed in the ND-133s that Soth and his gang took, making suitcase bombs. After sneaking through a good bit of Jerusalem, we meet up with a Shin Bet agent who infiltrated the terrorist cell named Dahlia Tall outside a church, and she leads us to the hideout, but as we enter the elevator, Lambert tells us to kill Dahlia. Turns out, Shin Bet's gonna betray us, and this gives us another choice, this one determining how the last act of the mission will play out. If we kill her right here, when we leave the lair, we have to sneak through a courtyard with a handful of guards. But if we don't kill her, we have to engage in a shootout with her. So let's just... yeah, that's probably for the best. Underground layer is actually kind of meh. You'd think for an underground layer it'd be a bit cooler, but I guess not. But after we grab a sample of smallpox virus, we have to skedaddle, going through the courtyard that would have been filled with snipers, now just filled with a couple of jobbers. Mission 5 takes us to the jungles of Indonesia to infiltrate Sedano's camp. The mission is fine for the most part, but it's truthfully really forgettable. Up until around you get to the underground section where the Doa is making drugs to fund their operations. Everything before this, for like the first half of the mission, you just are stuck in fucking thermal vision. And it just really isn't that good of a setting. But after going through the firing range, we come up to the big house with Sedona's inside. But we can't grab him just yet, so instead we're just gonna check his browser history. Alright, now this is a great mission. I see a lot of people call this mission forgettable, but I couldn't disagree more. The beginning is really fucking cool. Moving through the tall grass with a sniper overlooking you as you try to sneak in is so fucking... it's just really cool. We then have to go through this, like, small little courtyard area with another sniper overlooking and 2 guards patrolling, so you have to be extremely careful. The tension is just great. And that continues on when we have to sneak under a little dog cage, and the dogs will start going berserk. However, if you wait under here long enough, the guards next to the cage will just start to ignore the dogs, because they just think, oh, these dogs are going crazy. And you can use that to your advantage to sneak through. Then we have to go into this small little concrete building that has lasers running up and down the sides. Kind of reminds me of the hangar in MGS1. Anyone who's played it knows what I'm talking about. And then we're in the underground submarine dock. From there, it's extremely simple. We have to force a technician to raise the submarine, then we can move along the walkways. Now, I see a lot of people use like the rear trolley thing to get to the submarine, but let me let you on a little secret, a little pro gamer strat, if you will. You can just drop down and zip line. It's really not that hard. Now, the submarine portion is really tight and very tense, some good aspects of stealth. But the mission does end with a forced combat encounter, and that really sucks, because if there was not a forced combat encounter, this would be the perfect Splinter Cell mission. It's the perfect length, not too long, not too short. Mission 7 is kind of annoying. It's okay for the most part, but for the penultimate mission, it kind of falls short, like really hard. After all the ND-133s have been found and disarmed, we finally have the go-ahead to capture Sahadi Sedona. We have to sneak into a broadcast station and grab his ass, but there's a thunderstorm going on, so we have to be careful till we get in the building. The storm can expose our position and blow out our night vision goggles. It's a really neat thing, but like most things in Splinter Cell, neat things only happen once or twice. They never repeat. After slowly moving around in the storm, we turn up in probably the best section of this mission. We have to time our movements with a searchlight so we can't be found. Sticking to the shadows, hiding behind satellite dishes and whatnot, but there's also mines on the floor, so we're constantly having to turn on and off our really fun section. And after this, we climb up the side of the building to get into the station proper. And now this is where the mission starts to fall apart. After passing an extremely strange setup for a drum kit, we have to go and find Ingrid. Yeah, Ingrid. Remember that translator from the beginning of the game that we basically haven't talked about since? Well, apparently she works for the CIA, and she was able to infiltrate Sahadi Sedona's crew, and she tells us, alright, I'm gonna lead you to the guy. So we have to follow her to Sedona's studio, and have to go through the worst combat section in the entire game. I fucking hate this bridge fight. We can then sneak into his studio and grab his ass, drag him up to the roof and take a helicopter out. Now the day is saved, right? Right? Well, not just yet, because there's one final ND-133 and Soth has it, so it's off to LAX to get his ass. LAX is such a good fucking mission. I really like it. Because terrorists have infiltrated the ranks of guards, and the only way to find them is by using our thermal vision, because the terrorists are running a bit hot because they just got the smallpox vaccine. It's a really fun mission. Really great. Moving through the little bagging section here and the back rooms of the airport's really fun. Actually, just going through this entire thing, going to a extremely populated fucking airport, and not being spotted by anything, just tickles something in my brain that I just love about this game, and it's the only time I can get this feeling. But anyways, the last section is also really fucking cool. After climbing out of an elevator, we end up in a maintenance section that we have to climb to the top of to get to the final ND-133. If we get spotted by anybody in this room, the ND-133 starts up. If we get near it, it also starts up. The mission does end, however, in a combat encounter, yeah. Not as bad as the last mission's combat encounter, but a combat encounter nonetheless. After terminating all of the terrorists and getting to the ND-133, we get treated to a nice cutscene of Sam walking out into the sunset. So in conclusion, what do I think of this game? Well, it's very difficult for me to say. On one hand, it's more of a game that I love, which is stealth action redefined. This is just basically Splinter Cell 1.5, as a lot of people call it. I wouldn't say that. I think it's a great sequel to a great game. However, it does fall short here and there. The game is shorter than the original, only coming at 8 missions instead of the first game's 10. They still have the god-awful forced combat encounters, which just aren't good in these games because the shooting just sucks. You're meant to sneak through everything, but they add sections where you have to blast your way out. I was very lenient on the first game because it was the first in the series, but I think I have to give this game an 8 out of 10. Still a great and perfectly fine game. It's just not as good as the first one, and not as good as the game that comes right after this. So yeah, I'm going to say an 8 out of 10. Pick this game up. If you want to play this game and haven't already, play the game. Buy it on Steam, it's like $10, or you can sail the seven seas. I don't really give a fuck. Just play this game and enjoy it. But yeah, anyways, I've been Logan the Knife. This has been Damned Late Reviews, so goodbye.